G'day guys, and welcome to the last training week before I head over to New Zealand for race week next week. So being so close to race week, thinking about race tactics, how I'm going to execute the race, what gear I'm going to be using, taking into account the weather, and also just tapering down this week. So this week's long run was in Sturt Gorge. I did that on Wednesday. It was the same loop that I ran last week, about 19 Ks. Again, it's a lot of single track for that run, mostly single track. So pushing it along at an aerobic heart rate. It's a little bit quicker than what I'll be pacing on race day, but still a nice solid aerobic run for the long run. And being 19 Ks of single track, it was about an hour 40. Really is nice to have some cooler weather. It makes training so much easier, and looks like race day will be a bit of a cooler day than what most training days have been through the Australian summer here in Adelaide. So looks like race day will be mid-teens to about 20 degrees at the warmest. And so while the previous week this run was a second aerobic run, and my main long run was the hilly Black Hill 3-hour run, this week it was actually my main run, my main long run. And the fact that I hadn't done a hilly 3-hour run a couple of days before meant that my legs are fresher and starting to feel good. I mean, I feel like I could be racing this weekend rather than next weekend. So it's good that I'm already feeling quite fresh. I ran the Sturt Gorge run with my full race gear. Noticed that it was there when I started the run, but as I got through the run, felt very comfortable with the race gear, settled in nicely, and it looks like I can go with just handheld hydration, which has the benefit of not wearing a pack which holds the heat in, so I can remain quite cool for the first bit of the run. Okay, so for my gear for the race, I'll be taking all the mandatory gear. So I've got here the seam sealed raincoat, so you can see it's got the seams there sealed, thermal top, thermal pants, gloves, hat, need a head torch and spare batteries. And I'll also be running with a race belt, which I've got at the moment. There's 5 gels in there. That's what I'm planning to run for the first 58k is 5 gels. I'll be carrying a water bottle and the camera for filming. So at 58k's, I'll be switching out to the vest here, which carries 2 soft flasks. So I'll need more than 1 soft flask after 58k mark. Okay, so the jacket rolls up into its own pocket, so it's ready to go like that. But I'm going to also put some other things in the pocket. So I'll put my thermal top in there, and also put in my head torch and batteries. So that makes them fit into this pack here. And that's going to be quite big sitting on my hips. So what I've got here, so zip that up, is a shoelace to go around and make it a bit thinner. So I'll sort of make it like a string roast beef or whatever, all tied up. Guess I can make it a little bit tighter on race day, but just for an example, that's a nice compact part of the pack there. This race belt has 1 zip pocket, which I said I've got my gels in there, but it's got these other pockets here that I can fit items in. See, it's almost in, and then just get that over there. That's in there like that, and then got the legs, the headgear and the gloves in a separate little package there, and they go on this side. So the way that will be running is this part will be in the small of my back, that's going to be on the side, and it's going to be on the front. Aside from this continuous aerobic run at Sturt Gorge, I did a interval session the day before at Scott Creek. It was 5 by 3 minute efforts, and I did that as hill efforts. Scott Creek has got a hill that takes 9 minutes for the Strava record, so it's a fairly long hill, and I was able to do 3 minute efforts on there with plenty of time to do a short recovery back down and still have plenty of hill for a second and third effort. So I did 5 efforts, 3.5 minutes up before a 90-second recovery going down. I did that 3 times, and then I did a 4th effort, which was a downhill effort. I haven't been running that many downhills, and especially not fast because of my sore foot. So I thought it was important to do at least a bit of fast downhill running. The Black Hill had a fair bit of downhill the week before, and I ended up with a little bit of soreness. So I have had some conditioning for downhill running, but yeah, just decided to do a 4th hill effort as a downhill effort before going up again and doing my 5th effort as an uphill effort. I wasn't totally smashing myself on the hill efforts, but I was targeting a heart rate of 170. So what I would do is start the effort and run it, and the heart rate would steadily climb to 170, and then I wouldn't push the speed any more than that, just trying to hold it at that 170. And because these hills are barely runnable at times, I was able to just sort of jog up the hill and still keep the heart rate in that target zone. I felt fairly good after those 5 efforts. Ran with Nat for a second run on Tuesday around Happy Valley Reservoir. Again, a continuous effort for her, so a good fitness builder to be running continuously for a loop around there. And for me, it was quite a stressful run because I'd already done a session just an hour or so earlier. On Friday, we ran the last long run for Nat. Again, about 100 minutes on a single track. Again, that's important to get used to running on single track, side to side action, up and down, just to make sure that you've got the conditioning in the hips for running on single track, because a fair bit of the run will be on single track. There's been talk about a lot of mud during the race, and there's been a lot of wet weather. There's been landslips. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be. But it's made it a bit easier in one respect because of the shoe choices. If it had been a really dry condition track, could switch out to road shoes for some of it, and then switch to trail in the middle, and then road towards the end again. But what I found with UTA is you only need one small section of mud where you can get really, a lot of mud on your shoes, and then you're in trouble because you're in road shoes where you need as much grip as possible. So makes it simple. I'll just be going with trail shoes the whole way. I won't have to worry about having a change of shoes in any of my drop bags. I'll just be doing that change to a vest from Handhelds at 58k, where the difference is that the first few aid stations, 15k between the aid stations, and then 10k's. So with all of those distances between the aid stations, I can survive with just one soft flask, because I usually go through about one of them per hour. A little bit less at the start of a race, but by the time I'm sort of 3-4 hours in, I go through about 500 mils an hour. So if the aid stations are 15k's apart at the start, that's fine. I probably still won't use the full 500 mils between those two aid stations. And then after that, with the 10k, I probably will be using up about 500 mils. But after the 58k aid station, there's a long uphill as well as longer distance between the aid station, as well as being more technical. So definitely need to have more than one soft flask after 58k. As far as nutrition goes, I'm just relying on a gel for every aid station. So again, about every hour I'll be taking a gel. Plus I'll be grabbing some snacks at each aid station. Usually it'll be, there's jet plane lollies, which they rave on about. So I'll have some lollies. I'll probably have a bit of leftover pizza again at that 58k aid station, because that'll be around about lunchtime. But I'm not going to rely on the gels that are provided by the race. I did that at UTA and found that I wasn't really getting as much of a lift, because I don't think they had as much caffeine as I expected. And the same thing as Wonderland, I was relying on their gels, but they weren't enough calories per gel. So again, just relying on my own gels with a bit of supplementation from some of the aid station food. Also at 58k, I'll have some olives, which I'll have in my vest, just in case I feel nauseous. In the afternoon, it could get hot and I will be taking on a lot more fluid. Taking on more fluid has the risk of an upset tummy and feeling nauseous. And I find my go-to is something salty, and olives my salty go-to to have in between drinking a lot of fluid, so that I'm not feeling nauseous. And of course, there's the travel side of it. So it's my first ultra internationally. I have done half a dozen overseas marathons, but this will be the first ultra for me, first overseas race for Nat as well. And I am really looking forward to it. A trip to New Zealand with Nat, doing another big race, in a lot better shape than I have been for the last 12 months. Which brings me to the last weigh-in for the vlog series. 69 kilos is about what my race weight should be, and has been for since I was racing triathlon 20 odd years ago. So happy with that. 4 kilos less than it was 6 months ago, and some of the runs through summer obviously depleted, and down to 68, 67 kilos after some of my runs there. So yeah, it shows that I'm in reasonable shape. I don't have much in the way of leg speed, because I haven't been doing much speed work. However, I'm feeling fairly comfortable out on runs, so going into the race with a bit of confidence. I still have to be careful, obviously, with how I measure things, but 100k is a lot of things can go wrong. But yeah, looking forward to it. Finished off the week with a run around Happy Valley. This one was target heart rate of 160 for 3 by 2 kilometre efforts. The rest of the run at an aerobic range between 145 and 155. So not really going super high with the efforts to keep the legs fresh, just a bit of a ticking over the legs run where I get used to running comfortably and get that, that steady race rhythm. It felt like I could run for a long time at that heart rate, but also felt a bit tired towards the end, so that's definitely not going to be my 100k pace, hitting 160. I will try to control the heart rate and keep it lower than that as much as possible. So thanks very much for watching this vlog series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed making it. It was a lot longer than I originally signed myself up for, but it's worked out quite well, and I've enjoyed creating this content. I don't do any running coaching, but I am a financial advisor. So if you're wanting to connect professionally with me, yeah, please get in contact. But yeah, this is my way of assisting people in their running journey in a way that suits me. Yeah, this is it. Yep, we'll get there eventually. What's that?
Everyone at work keeps asking me when I'm going. I keep telling them.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. I feel like I should be like, yeah, I've already gone, just going for 2 weeks.